Welcome to the 100 Master Coaches series featuring master coaches from around the world. Let's journey together on this 100 Master Coaches series with your host, Coach Mel, MCC. For almost 2 decades, Ben Dooley has been committed to unlocking the secrets of deep MasterFull Coaching and helping all coaches discover and reveal the powerful, confident and successful coach that they are here to be. He facilitates a bi-weekly coaching skills forum telecalls, as well as multiple interactive and engaging coach growing workshops. Now on to the show.
Hello, and welcome to the 100 Master Coaches show. This is Coach Mal, and today on the show, we've got a special guest. He is Ben Dooley from Chicago, USA. Give him a big round of applause. Welcome to the show, Ben.
You are going to put in a sound effect of like thunderous applause, right? Because just that one hand clapping is like, yeah.
Just for you. It's that.
Thank you.
Can you hear it? Oh.
I can hear it. Oh, thank you all for your massive, crazy applause.
So tell us something about you before we begin. Just a little bit about Ben.
A little bit about Ben. Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's a crazy open door question. I'll tell you though, one of the things that I love doing in my pre-coaching, before coaching days, I was. We were talking earlier that I spent 20 some years as an actor in Chicago and doing plays, doing commercials, doing training videos, and I mean anything, toys, books, recordings, anything that it could be done by an actor, I had done, and I was really proud and pleased with that. But what was interesting was it was exciting, and I actually translate this to an actual coaching thing because it actually is a profound turning point for me. I had lots of friends who were also in the biz, and I was making enough money to get by. I would get a couple of jobs. I'd go out and do a bunch of auditions. My agents would call. I'd get the gig. I wouldn't get the gig. Whatever would happen, it would kind of all work out where I'd be doing okay, and I had to do like a catering job or something like that to just kind of supplement. Yeah. I had friends and colleagues who were making serious money, and we're not talking like they scored a big national campaign that got them like $100,000 or whatever. We're talking local work. You're getting, $500 here, $2,000 there, and you gotta hustle. And what I noticed was that they were treating it like a business, and I was treating it like a wonderful, fun, money-making hobby.
Yeah.
And I got really clear on that while I was in it. And I actually made a clear decision. I don't want to work that hard. They were marketing, they were finding clients, they were engaging, they were connecting, they were building relationships, they were doing all that stuff. And I said, I don't want to do that. I just want to do all the fun stuff. And so as a result, I spent, 15 or so years in Chicago, and some years before that, getting by. And it was fine. And I had a great reputation for that small little, building, but it wasn't a business. And I that was actually a really profound moment, because when I walked into my first weekend of coach training, and I went, okay, if I'm going to invest my time and my money in doing this coaching thing, I'm not going to do all that for a lateral move and have it be another fun kind of money-making hobby. I'm going to have to learn how to do this. If I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it. Yeah. And I knew at that point what it was like to not treat it like a business, and I wasn't going to do that with coaching.
So Ben, what made the shift, right? What made the shift from that fun, didn't want to do the business, and yet you were looking at your friends and they were making lots of money, I guess. You were making good enough, as you say, it's to survive, right?
Yeah, I was making enough that I could pay most of my bills.
Yeah.
And my wife, girlfriend, then wife, but she was also working and making her money. So now so I wasn't paying for the house, we had a small apartment and all of that. But I also knew kind of and I never did that transition in the acting world. It was when I stepped into coaching and I realized how a part of me had woken up and said, I am here now. And I need to do this. And there was a part at the time, I didn't even know why I needed to do this completely. I just knew this coaching thing feels so right. I need to do this. But I also really knew, like, if I'm going to drop, $10,000, I got to make it back and more. and I'm not going to just change one kind of barely floating boat into another barely floating boat. I have got to make this work. And so I had to immerse myself in learning about marketing and business and sales and engaging and all of that stuff and figure out on my own and take, and all that stuff. But I knew I had to make this important, not just fun. And I'll be honest, there's still a lot of times I don't want to do this marketing. It's not fun.
And we'll get to that, Ben. We'll get to that. But I want to capture this for the audience, because there are people walking into coaching these days, right? From whatever they were doing before, right? I've had, I'm sure you've had as well, different people, not just people in HR, people who are bankers, people who are, different industries, and they're walking in. So like for you, Ben, you went from showbiz, right? And into coaching. So tell us about that decision point. What was that?
It was actually, as I mentioned briefly, something else woke up. So it wasn't just, it was actually, as an actor, it wasn't, it was fun. There was some ego. It was great spotlight. But for me, it was really utilizing skills. And when I did shows, and I still do from time to time. And for me, the motivation is not the star in the spotlight. For me, the motivation has always been to impact and to take the viewer or the audience member or whatever on some kind of journey, to touch, to move, to inspire them, to impact them in some way. That was always, and I just loved doing theater and immersing myself into somebody else's life. To really get to understand what makes them tick and why are they doing this. Because to really do good acting, you have to be clear about the choices you're making. Why am it says I do this, but why am I doing this? And to really get clear and intentional about it. And I loved the connections that I was able to create, that the relationship, that synergy, that flow that came from not just with the fellow castmates, but also the audience, that there's an energy, there's a synergy, there's something very different about when an audience walks in and you're in relationship with them. And there's from back in the college days to in our current community theater, there's something really exciting about we're going to get it done. That whole thing, the show must go on, that the stuff that gets in our way is not going to get in our way. And so those are all things and more that I learned and that we kind of, I got stimulated by as an actor. And when I stepped into coaching, two things along that lines happened. Other parts of me woke up. I love teaching. I love digging in and exploring our human condition. Like, wow, why do I work this way? And how do we do this? And what happens here? And why does this thing work? And why does that? So that just completely opened up. And I got really excited about discovering our human design. And the other thing was recognizing how all of those acting skills got translated over into coaching. And like, all of this stuff that I've been doing my entire life, in a sense, has been training me to be the coach that I am now. And that's one of the things, that's one of the platforms that I love standing on with all the coaches here, and that's part of what I train, and that's part of what I let all coaches know, is that if you're more than just your training is just giving you a language and a tool set, but you get to have your whole amazing, incredible life, all the jobs that you had. You know, we mentioned before briefly about how I traveled in the circus. Oh my goodness, what a powerful gift that has given to my coaching. Waiting tables in restaurants, incredible gift for coaching. Writing, freelance writing, every single crappy pain in the butt job and working for some idiot moron boss, and I can't wait to get out of here. If I just take a moment and stocking a storeroom, there is some powerful lessons that I get to incorporate and bring to my coaching and to my clients. And that is what makes the difference. And when I discovered that, that's also when I went, okay, I need to do this for reals.
Love that. I love that. How you just connect the dots, Ben.
I do that.
And when I was listening to you share on how, like you know what they say, it's like the world's your stage, right? And in that sense, when you were saying that, I kind of saw that you were the one on the stage, because that's what happens usually on showbiz, right? Because you're the actor, you're the one on the spotlight. But then you and I know that as coaches, we are not like the actor as well, because we create a platform, as you say. And now it's we're getting ready, the coachee, to be on that platform, to be there on the sideline. We could be the one, guiding them in a sense, helping them shine in their moment of truth.
Yeah.
Right?
So if we look at it, and I know there's a question there, but I love where you're going already, and I feel inspired to respond. If we look at it this way, so there is something about, oh, they're here to see me. No, they're actually not. With some exceptions, like, my parents. My parents are going to come and see me in anything. They don't care what the show is. And if we're like superstars, there are actors that we will go in whatever movie they're in. It doesn't matter. So those are the exceptions. But for the most part, if we actually look at it, what is really in the spotlight is not the actor, and it's not the director. It's the story.
Wow. That's good.
That's the spotlight. And so the actors, all the world's a stage, but the men and women are merely players. That's the full line in Shakespeare.
Yes, that's true.
And we are just the players speaking our parts, telling the story, trippingly on the tongue. That is what we're here to do. So in coaching, the client is in the spotlight, but what's really in the spotlight is their story.
It's so true.
The story they're telling that has been running their show, and the new story that they get to create.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Woo!
And
yeah.
Clients are merely players.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. I just wrote that. I never really touched together before. And I went, oh, wait a minute. I got that. That's just a call.
It's like the rewriting of the script of their life, isn't it?
It is.
It's like what you're saying.
We're just rewriting the script. This is what your script had up until now.
Yeah.
But the rest of the story has not been written yet.
Yeah.
And so from this point on, what are the words that you want to convey who you are? What is the story, the adventure that you want to take yourself on? If we just ended the story at, a little girl gets caught up in a tornado and her house is yanked up and she flies away from home and she never sees her parents again, her family again.
Oh, that would be sad.
Yeah, and she feels so alone and nobody listens and nobody cares and all of that stuff. And then that's how the rest of the movie goes. How boring is that?
I want my money back.
Guys, exactly. And yet, if we realize, wait a minute, But then she gets to go on an exciting journey, and she gets to meet, little creatures and little people, and she gets to meet a scarecrow that talks and dances, and a talking metal woodsman, and a scaredy cat lion, and an evil witch, and some of it's going to be scary, and some of it's going to be beautiful. And she's going to be on an adventure to discover her power and her strength and her heart, and she's going to find a way home. Now that is an exciting story. Let's write that one.
Yeah. Every one of us count. Our stories count.
Our stories count. But the problem is that, here's the other thing, and this is a trap that we just so easily fall into. Every single one of us. I do it too. We allow our lives to be created by the outside world. We allow ourselves to be defined and our story to be created and told by everybody else, except the one person who is the only one qualified to tell our story and to declare who we are. So we have outside people going, you're an idiot, you're not good enough, you don't count. And then we go, gosh, you're right. That's my story. Thank you for giving me my story about how I'm an idiot, loser, moron who's worthless and doesn't deserve anything. They have no authority to tell you any of that. We're just buying that story, and it's not even our story.
Absolutely, Ben. And you get to create your story right now on telling us the insights, maybe just 3 of them.
Sure.
To you were saying 17 years of coaching. A bit about that.
You want 3 insights from the last 17 and plus years? Sure. And how long do we have? They're going to be insight 1A, 1B, 1C. And I'll tell you, the one that just kind of quickly popped up is when I got my MCC. There's a couple of things that come from that. And I share this with people often. And this, you got your MCC. And there's a really simple way to get your MCC. And I bring it up, which is the way I got it was very simply, I presented 2 recordings of my coaching that someone else said, yeah, that's pretty good. That's it. I just fulfilled someone else's criteria of what they say an MCC is. I happened to do it the way they liked it. And so they gave me these letters. Same thing with you. And that's every single MCC. That's how we did it. The early MCCs didn't have to present recordings. They just said, oh, I've been doing this for a long time. And then here's your MCC. Lucky bastards. So there's something, and I knew this going in, and I knew this as part of my own growth and development, that there was more than just checking off the boxes and doing it right, that it was about me owning, claiming, setting myself on that bar of what it is to be masterful. And there's a profound moment when I failed my MCC a few times. And there was a profound moment when I failed the second time where I actually said, oh, crap, I don't know if I'm going to have another brilliant, fantastic call in me, let alone 2. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this again and have 2 more calls that I can present. And that was a big wake up, because I was speaking to the performance of coaching. Wow, I hope I do it right. And I don't think I'm going to be able to do it right.
So good.
And luckily I caught myself, because I saw myself going into this like depression of like, well, then why bother? I mean, if I don't have 2 more good calls in me, then I'll just give up. And I caught myself and I went, wait a minute, but what have I been talking about and teaching and insisting on myself? Of course I've got more calls. I've got hundreds and thousands of beautiful, brilliant, amazing, incredible calls and sessions ahead of me, because it's not about, I didn't get given like a limit, like, okay, well, congratulations, Ben, you're a coach now. Now you only get 5 brilliant calls, so use them wisely.
Yeah.
And so when I really, it was a concept that I got, but when that happened, it really sank in much deeper. Yeah. And that allowed me to let go of having to prove myself and just be the coach that I'm here to be. Yeah. Now, there's stuff about technique and learning things and how to handle and all that stuff, but we do this in our coaching with our clients. We're not giving our clients magic fixes and do these things. We're helping our clients tap into their deeper selves, their more powerful beings, they're all that stuff. Yeah. And so the same is true for us as coaches. When we get a sense and we get to really harness and own that inner coach, that coach being is going to make the doing so ridiculously easy. And so it's a lesson that I continually learn time and time again. And there are days still I have hard calls and like, oh, this client, is driving me nuts. And this one is just, I had one yesterday that was just, he was so quiet and soft-spoken, and like he kept talking about how he's passionate about something with no passion whatsoever. And for me to recognize, okay, first off, he's not doing anything wrong. He's just showing up. And me, I'm the one who needs to let go of doing it right and performing and getting the sale and da-da-da and all this stuff, and just get back to me and the coach that is here to really connect, impact, make a difference. And all that other stuff is just waste of crap. That's the essence. Thank you. That's one. Do we have time for the other two?
Oh yeah, come on. That was so good.
All right. Along that lines, I also have learned over the years and it's tied in similarly, but I want to have it be a separate thing, that client can never do client wrong. Client can never do client wrong. And this actually extends in many ways. And first off, it's looking at like, okay, like I keep asking these brilliant, powerful questions and the client isn't answering the right way. How many times has that happened? Or I keep starting to do this brilliant, incredible, amazing exercise, and then they keep stopping and derailing and going off on these tangents. What kind of a stupid, idiot, moron client is this? They're not doing the coaching right. That's not their job. Their job is to be them. Yeah. And the various problems that are making the coaching hard for you, coach, is most likely the very thing that's making it hard for them too. So if you're banging your head and driving yourself nuts with this client who's not doing it the right way, remember, client can never do client wrong. Wow. They're doing themselves the only way they know how to do. And that means that when they're absolutely everything's great and wonderful, they're excited and they just take the ball and keep rolling and they keep talking and talking and talking, and they go into incredible stories and they don't stop talking. And that means when they are stuck and frustrated and shut down. And that means when they're combative and they're challenging and struggling with this thing that you're trying to do with them, and they keep wanting you to tell them the answer. Client can never do client wrong. And when we get that simple and yet powerful lesson, then the only thing that ever needs to change is the only thing that you, the coach, can possibly change, which is you or me. Yeah. And so that's where, go back to point A, I need to let go of my needs and my wants and what's going to make this good for me. And I need to let go of that and be here and be what the client needs me to be. And that can be sometimes accepting, and that can sometimes be challenging them, or cutting them and getting in the way or whatever it is, but it's not out of my need because you're not doing it right. It's I need to be what they need.
Yeah.
The other extension of that is a client can never do client wrong is it drives me bananas. And I was just talking with a coach earlier today where she was talking about a client who she said they were uncoachable. I said, well, what made them uncoachable? And she said, well, because like they knew what they wanted, but they weren't sure how to get there. Now, that's a more extreme example, and she's learning, and she was starting to get some stuff. But I've also had it completely the other way around, and I've been called uncoachable. And I've watched coaches use uncoachable as an excuse for not showing up powerful. The coach not showing up powerfully. And it becomes an excuse for why this isn't going well. And the only reason why a client is not coachable, the only reason why a client is uncoachable is when they actually say, I don't want to be coached, or they don't show up.
Yeah.
Because if they're not there, then if they're not there, then they're uncoachable. Simple.
Yes.
If they're there, if they're there, there's something in them that says, I need this and I want it. Yeah, even if they're defiant, even if they're pushing back, even if they're getting in your face and resisting everything that you're trying to do with them, they're still there. Yeah. Because if they really, truly didn't want to be there, they wouldn't be.
Yeah.
So as coaches, we got to let go of, again, they got to do it right for us because they are coachable. Yeah. It just means that they're not coachable the way you want them to be coachable. Oh, but they're not responding to my brilliant questions.
Yeah.
Then find other questions. Oh, but I keep taking them to this visioning thing and this beautiful thing and all that stuff, and they're not doing it. Then find something else. Yeah. That's a powerful lesson that I cannot convey any shorter. Yeah.
Wow. I just gotta interject a little bit, Ben, because what you're saying is just so real, and it happens every day. And if it's not the coach, it's someone else in their life. That there are voices and influences that come in and affect all of us, right? Including our clients, right? And they take it on, right? They take it on, and it's not like they don't want to live the best life. It's sometimes the narratives that has been spoken onto them. And
too many times.
Wow.
This is what you are. This is how you are. You're this, you're not that. And then we buy that story, and then they bring it into us as coaches, and we go, wow, you are a problem. Brilliant, coach. You just did a great job of reinforcing the same problem that they're struggling with their entire lives.
Yeah.
Well done. Yeah.
And that's why they're not coachable, you know?
And that's why, exactly. It's not that they're not coachable, it's that you're not coaching. Simple.
Ooh. All right. Come on. Give us one more.
You want third?
Oh, yeah, right, come on.
Third one. There is a phrase that I have heard coaches all over the map say and ask their clients. It's a question that we have been trained in. So many coach trainings have said, here's what you have to ask your clients. And then it's the magic coaching phrase. And I will admit it.
Okay.
I've done it too. I'm not proud. I will admit it. I've watched MCC coaches. Well, I'm going to guess you've said it too, and it's okay. I forgive you. I've watched coaches, brilliant coaches in training, ask this question as an example and train the coaches who are learning from them to ask this question.
Oh, okay. I can't wait. Come on. Give it to us.
And before I tell you what the question is, stop asking this question. It doesn't work the way you think it does.
Yeah.
And it actually starts to create some problems.
Okay.
Now, to clarify, what the question is pointing to is so incredibly important. It's the wording. So the content or the focus or the direction, critical and highly powerful, but it's the language that's causing the problem. And here's the question. So who would you have to be in order to do this? Who do you need to be? What do you need to be? And we ask this being question. Now, as I said, this is the crux of our coaching, right? We go to the being part, but our clients don't understand because they didn't do the training that you did.
Yeah.
So if we look at it, we live in a doing and having world. That is our entire language.
So
Mel,
true.
you come from a marketing background. That's all that marketing is. If you spout out this being crap in any kind of marketing, you've lost your money.
It's true.
Right?
It's true.
Oh, we're going to be with you and we're going to be this. And why would I spend my money on you? I'm not paying money for being crap. I want results. And I want to know how to get those results. And so the other problem is that we have a confused definition of what being means. When we were 4 years old, you know, we had people coming, so what do you want to be when you grow up? Right. That means, what do you want to do? What's the job that you want to have and the role you want to take on? And then we're going to go to the movies. Can you be there at 8? That means, will you do the actions necessary to have your body present at this time? There's no being involved. Yeah. And so we use being, and so you're being a problem. No, it means that what I'm doing, you don't like. But that's not about being a problem. There's no being there in the way that we as coaches know and use it, right? So when we tell our clients, so who do you have to be? Unless they're a trained client and they understand what you're talking about, they don't get it. And they're trying to figure this out and give you an answer that's going to make you happy. So what we do is, let's get rid of that being phrase. Now, being is great for that shortcut. Once they understand what you mean, great, go nuts. But if we're really talking about being, let's look at what is really being asked. What's being asked? What? There's no being. It's a doing. What words are you using in this sentence to convey your thought and intention? So what we're really asking for in being, who do you have to be? What do you have to be? All those being questions are really targeting the client's thinking. What are the thoughts you want to hold on and remember when you go and do this thing? Or what's the meaning you want to make? Or what's the vision that you want to hold in your mind when you go and do this thing? This also includes emotion.
Sure.
What's the feeling? How do you want to feel when you do this thing? What's the belief that you want to hold to be true? As opposed to the being of failure or victim, the being of empowered or strong or confident. And I hold this energy and this belief that I can, or that this is how it will be, or all that stuff. If we go to the thoughts and the emotions and the beliefs, that's actually what the being word is all about anyways. And when you use that language to the client, it gives them a clear, specific place to look. So that they get to go, instead of coming up with this nebulous, well, I have to be a strong person who is this and that, and they don't know what they're talking about. But what do you want to remember when you go in? What do you want to think about? What person do you want to emulate and hold in mind to inspire you? Oh, that I can answer. Much more easily. So it's really recognizing that we as coaches, we get all this language and all this jargon and all this wonderful coachy stuff. And it's worthless if your client doesn't understand it. So speak your client's language, because when we're talking about what our language is, yes, you have a saboteur and a gremlin, and you've got this and blah blah blah, and all these wonderful things that we've learned. If your client doesn't understand it, then what you're actually conveying is, you, client, need to understand me. You're not worth my time and energy to get to know. Whoa. Rather, when you take the time to interpret yourself to your client and you speak your client's language, you're conveying, I want to know about you. You are worth it. Instantly, you're creating that connection and that openness and that magic right there, just by getting rid of your brilliant, incredible, coachy language. Who cares? When they're trained, then you can go, oh, yes, well, blah, 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 and speaking this and blah, blah, blah. And we shortcut all of that. I'd like to acknowledge you. Then do it. Don't tell me you're going to acknowledge me. Acknowledge me. But it's this wonderful language we've been taught. Let go of the language and come from your heart. Come from your mind. Come from your body. Come from your spirit. And just connect and be with that person.
Beautiful. Wow.
That's 3.
Thank you, Ben. This is
my pleasure. Oh yeah.
This is truly simple yet so abstract, because this is exactly what happens every day in coaching around the world, right?
Yeah.
We get sometimes caught up with all our lingo, jargon, whatever we think is kind of, making us, again, back to us, making us look professional, right? Making us look, wow, the clients may be going, wow, this is my coach, And I've realized that the more we do that, the more it is about ourselves, right? So the whole concept of coaching is already flawed from the start. Speaking to so many master coaches these days, right? I'm the first one getting all these insights, and I'm checking in myself, So what you did just now with those 3 points, Ben, I'm already saying, oh gosh. Okay.
I know.
I gotta check in on that one. Because I've got to catch myself to that point where I'm saying, am I really wanting to listen to my coachee in that depth, or do I just want that formula, that way of asking and seeing them perform straight away? But as you said it, they could be just doing all these things because they're trying to please. Oh, I did that, coach. Was that good? It's like,
our clients want to make us happy, and they also, when they do it right, then they must be getting their money's worth, and they must be getting on the right path, because we're the coach, we know best. And it's all this show that's going on, as opposed to just getting to the heart of it. And by the way, beautiful sort of sending that back and all of that. I so appreciate that. It's something, when we talk about like what happened in coaching for me, I recognize that I get this on a deeper level, and then have just a natural skill of being able to convey it so that others get it. And I'm grateful that I can do that, because I find myself challenging some of the norms that are there, even like ICF. With the core competencies, I was not, I wasn't this big rebel and calling them up all the time. You got to change them. But I had a problem with some of the core competencies, and they have now changed them to be more in alignment with what coaching really gets to be.
True.
And I think that's part of what's happening now. And I'm excited to be a part of it. You're a part of it. And I see the new coaches. I am so excited for the new coaches showing up, because when I started to step into this, coaching was only so far, and there were incredible forefathers and foremothers of this profession that had an idea about what coaching was, And then they took it really as far as they could see it. And then it was coaches like me, coaches like you, coaches like other ones who said, yeah, this is great, but look at what we could go here. We can redefine and deepen and discover and find where coaching gets to go. And coaching isn't just one-on-one, and it's not just this. It's amazing where coaching has gone and what it's gotten fused with and how it's impacted all over the world in so many different ways. Yeah. And what's so exciting, if we just take a moment and think about it, is the coaches who are watching this video and right now, what are you going to step in and create? So it's either that you're creating something for your clients, or you are either intentionally or unintentionally going to take this profession even in other ways that we cannot conceive and comprehend. That excites the crap out of me.
Yeah. And I'm still going to ask you this question because this segues really well into this. Get ready, Ben.
Okay.
What's the future of coaching?
The future of coaching. That's a great question. And there's about 12 different ways that I really am inspired to answer it. The future is what we make it. We cannot see or predict the future, but we can create a vision and a destination that is worth aspiring to and all that stuff. I think overall, though, it's kind of what I said, is that what has been happening with coaching, we sort of see it as almost kind of it's not generational in the sense of our society of like, was it like generations, like every 12, 15 years or something like that. I don't know. But coaching it still has its generational stages. And I'm going to take a wild guess and say 5, 6 years. And it feels like, and you check in also and let me know if this is, I'm kind of making this up. But it's in the 17, almost 18 years that I've been doing this, I've noticed coaching in sort of these 4, 5, 6 year segments of this is what coaching is. And I think part of it might also be my own growth and development. But the stage that we're in now, I'm seeing, first off, there's so much coach training out there. and coaching is now becoming worldwide. 10 years ago, it wasn't really. There were like little smatterings of like in major cities throughout the world, maybe, but now it's truly worldwide. We have chapters ICF chapters in every inhabited continent. I'm ready to campaign and start the Antarctic chapter. If anybody wants to join me, it'll be a small chapter, but we're proud. It's very cold. What's the snow perspective? But if we look at where the future goes is not, it's the same thing as where we are in exploration. We cannot explore any more in our continent. We cannot come to new land and new civilizations, but we're finding in our culture nowadays to find new ways to discover and create new things that haven't been there. And that's part of what coaching lives in. The coaching, coaching is at the same time infinite possibility going out and endless deep discovery going in.
Wow.
So coaching it really is just an experience. It's a vehicle to convey. It's a mode or a structure or a construct for us to have a very specific type of conversation. And with that, coaching gets to go anywhere. It's almost like when they figured out binary coding of ones and zeros, that gets to go anywhere.
Yeah, true.
It goes anywhere. You know, when they figured out how to tap into radio signals and waves, they were always there. But somebody figured out, wait a minute, there's infrared rays and there's radio waves and there's all this and that we can tap into.
Yeah.
And where do we go from there? We're still discovering what we can do with some of that early technology and discovery. That's the future of coaching.
Yeah, Ben, I agree. It's my little version of saying, let's democratize coaching, right? Let's bring coaching to every nook and cranny. I didn't want to say that, but that's what I get, right? Every little place, right? Crevice, even to the darker places. Yeah.
And the pushback that comes from that is that narrow sense of what coaching is, which doesn't work for everywhere. Wow, coaching is, I do this and I ask these questions and I take you through this X formula and then we do this and we get results. Great. But that's this coaching. And what you're pointing to, and what I love this, is that if we just open up, we have teachers who are learning how to engage and have conversations with their students in different ways. We have nurses learning how to engage with their patients through coaching tools and terminology and structures. We have businesses and organizations and companies operating under a coaching design, but they're not coaching, but yet coaching has become a part of their culture. So again, if we let go of this narrow, this is my way of coaching and this is what coaching is, and what they thought, 15, 20 years ago, what coaching was, it gets to be everything.
Yeah, so true. For the young ones, the ones coming in right now, what will be that masterful wisdom that you would share with them?
Run away. No, I'm sorry. Well, it is. There is something about that. Like, there's a couple of things that pop up. I'll try to be succinct about it. There's a mythology that gets unfortunately taught through some marketing that coaching is easy and, you just take a weekend class and you get certified and then you're a coach and you can make lots of money and help people. And and if we're really talking about working with people and their human condition, if it was that easy, they would be doing it already. But what we're dealing with is the stuff that's getting in the way. And that's part of their humanness. That's not so easily pushed aside because of a cute, clever little exercise or a 3-question thing or whatever. And so it's really like when you choose to be a coach, you're choosing to infiltrate into people's lives. And that carries a great responsibility, I think. And that's, I've never, and maybe it was my own fragileness, but I don't think I've ever had the temerity to tell somebody, I'm sorry, I can't help you. You're not coachable. Because I don't want to have that impact on somebody that is going through their lives feeling frustrated and stuck and less than and not good enough and I don't know and I'm lost and scared and confused. And then I turn to somebody for help and they go, sorry, I can't help you. You're not like what I'm looking for. So part of it is my own thing of like, I'm here to help. As a new coach, it kind of expands into something that I teach in my class. It's actually in lesson 1. There's a phrase that's out there that we all love in the self-development world, that it takes 10,000 hours to be a master at something, right? And it's a phrase that like it suggests, you need a lot of experience to be great at something. And we look at, but I did the math on this. And if we're talking about 10,000 hours to be a master, and it looks like this. If you had 20 clients from day 1 that you decided to be a coach, the first day, 20 clients lined up, and then you kept that consistently. After a year of that, you've accumulated 1,000 hours, which means by this formula, it's going to take you 10 years to get those 10,000 hours. And I know you didn't have 20 clients from the beginning. I didn't. And when I get 20 clients, some of them leave, new ones show up. My client list goes down. Some of them need to skip weeks. We're 3 times a month, twice a month. So it's more like 15, 20, 30 years before we get to be a master at this. And there's a couple of things here that create a great tragedy in all of this. And the first is the world needs us to be it now. The world can't wait for us to figure it out.
Yeah.
The world, as you're pointing to, the world is getting more complex, more unsure, more uncertain, more confusing, more messy, more everything that's making, with all the technology and all the everything that's making our lives easier, our lives are getting harder.
Yeah.
In so many other ways that we could not have predicted. And the world, this is where coaches get to show up to help us navigate through the hard times to get to the places where we want to be and where we deserve to be. And so the world needs us. The world needs you, coaches watching this. The world needs you to show up fully. And it goes even deeper because we live in this strange, bizarre world where, and this is everybody, where we have this belief that we need to, first I got to do something in order to have a result and an outcome, and then I'll be. Do, have, be. That's the world that we live in. I got to do great coaching so that I'll have a successful business, and then I'll be a great coach. And your clients are in that same language. And the tragedy is that we never reach that being. It's like looking for a rainbow on the horizon. You'll never reach it. Your clients will never be happy after, or never be attractive after they lose all that weight and get their nose done. Your clients will never be wealthy after they make those how many millions of dollars. Your clients will never be happy after they get all of these things in their lives. Because there's always something else. There's always one more thing, not quite enough. And so what we need to do now, and this is what I teach in my coaching, and this is what I teach, not just how to do this for the clients, but this is for you, coach. Be it now. It's not about what you're doing. It's not about how much training or education or experience you had. That has a play in it, but that doesn't define who you are. You decide, I am a coach and I am here for this reason. And you choose who you're going to be, the thoughts, the emotions, the memories, the mindset, the beliefs that this coach is. And you bring that coach out fully every single time you coach. That is what the world needs.
Nicely put, nicely said. And we need so many more of that being coaches, that fully being, not just that one version of it. It's that fullness of everything coming together. Ben, I'm just looking at time, and
I know
we've just blown it today, and I'm okay with that. I'm so good with that. You know, and I'm so thankful. I just want to take this time to allow you to share how the audience can come in contact with you. So,
oh, sure. Well, should we do a little segment that you can like cut and edit and put at the beginning? Hi, coach. Just so you know, this is extra long, but stay with it because it's packed with lots of great stuff.
That's right.
Okay. Now let's go. Okay. Because, you know, there's going to be coaches around, well, I got a half an hour to kill. Why not? But if anybody has ever been on a webinar or a caller with me, it's like, good luck with that 30 minutes. I'll do it if you want, but okay. I can be reached at bedo.org, bedo.org, as in being and doing, bedo.org. Go there. Coaches, I'm telling you, if you go there, you're going to be overwhelmed by the amount of stuff that's there, then tons of free stuff. I've got over 350 recordings available. Take them. Ongoing, growing, small little videos, documents, things just to help you. I've got advanced classes and coaches and training and mentor groups and blah, blah, blah. I got tons of stuff that I'm happy to take your money for. And in exchange, really grow your coaching tremendously. But it's also tons of free stuff. Take it. Take it. However I can help you truly show up and be the coach you are here to be. That's it.
And with that, I say thank you, Ben. This has been the 100 Master Coaches with me, Coach Mel, short form now.
That's right.
And Ben Dooley, B-Do. We'll catch you on the next one. Take care, guys. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
You have been watching the 100 Master Coaches series with your host, Coach Mel, MCC. Brought to you by Catalyst Coach. www.catalystcoach.live. We will be right back with our next Master Coach on the 100 Master Coaches series.